More than 100,000 people will be honoured for their role in Singapore's fight against COVID-19, from sectors as varied as healthcare and social services, as well as public and private sectors. They will receive national awards in recognition of their public spirit. These were first unveiled by Prime Minister Hsien Loong during this year's National Day rally. Hsien reports.
Life is getting back to normal, nearly 3 years into the pandemic. And no better place to mark this than at Changi Airport. Near empty while borders were closed, now bustling again. Trade and Industry Minister Gan Kim Yong says achieving this has been a collective effort, and the national awards aim to reflect this.
We hope that by giving these awards, we can affirm the contributions and the sacrifices that these warriors have made in their contribution towards our efforts in battling COVID-19. And we also hope that through these awards, we can pay tribute to thousands more whom we may not know all of them, but they have each contributed in their own way to our effort in COVID-19.
Mr. Gan made these comments while visiting Project Lionheart, a COVID-19 themed art exhibition. As Health Minister when the pandemic broke out, Mr. Gan says many heartwarming stories have shown through the past 3 years and deserve to be highlighted. The team behind Project Lionheart hopes that visitors can walk away with a stronger sense of Singaporean identity.
We wanted to kind of establish a marker as we transit into living with COVID, so that as we become used to this idea of a mask-free world, we don't forget the stories that contributed to the way we are now and where we are now.
Since October, Project Lionheart has travelled to 15 locations, including community spaces in the heartlands, shopping malls, and now making its way to the airport. The initiative features inspiring stories of Singaporeans and are showcased through exhibitions and installations like this, as well as through films and music. Project Lionheart's last stop is at Changi Airport, standing testament to what these sacrifices have been for.
Not all heroes wear capes. The government is conferring COVID-19 national awards on some 9,500 people for their outstanding contribution to the national fight against the coronavirus. The range of recipients reflects how the battle was a whole-of-nation effort, from healthcare providers to essential workers who kept lifelines open and communities resilient despite the odds.
For today, the 17th of July...
His is a recognizable face and voice.
...really confirmed an additional 327 cases of COVID-19 infection in Singapore.
Put in the hot seat early in the pandemic, Director of Medical Services, Professor Kenneth Mark, oversaw the government's public health response. He received one of the 3 Meritorious Service Medals, the highest accolades.
I'm a general surgeon by training. And to be plunged into the deep end, dealing with an infectious disease, not only that, but dealing with a global pandemic, it was something that was perhaps stretching what I would be comfortable doing.
For 3 years, the chief medical advisor navigated the country through uncharted territory as COVID-19 numbers rose, hospitalization rates increased, and the death toll climbed. What kept him going was support from family, colleagues, and sometimes even complete strangers.
And I'm quite pleased that many members of the public appreciated the replies, the explanations I had given, and had written into me, come up to me at various times to thank me and give their support. And these were the words of encouragement from people that I barely knew, sometimes even strangers, coming out of the blue that gave me that strength to carry on.
The importance of teamwork and partnerships also cannot be overstated. It's a sentiment echoed by another award recipient. Dinesh Vasudash will receive the Public Service Star Award for his leading role in putting in place systems and processes to contain the pandemic. They range from helping to design the national COVID-19 vaccination program to overseeing contact tracing and quarantine and bringing telemedicine to the mainstream.
I was very blessed to have a team of highly professional, competent, hardworking people who put a lot of their personal perspectives aside, and they focused on what was required to be delivered for the people. I recall that the vaccination team, for example, used the phrase, "every vaccination was a life saved," and that helped to galvanize the team to be able to achieve all that was achieved by the vaccination people.
The awards also paid tribute to contributions from beyond the medical and healthcare sectors. At the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Laura Lim, who oversees cross-border travel, faced a different set of COVID-19 challenges. She had to implement on-arrival testing for Malaysian truck drivers and limit the risk of spreading the virus.
I think there were plenty, but I guess one of which was to find really dedicated toilets for these truck drivers who were moving goods across the borders, and that was really during the peak of the pandemic when we actually have to make sure that there is really less exposure to the local community.
Ms. Lim's team enabled essential travel during border closures and facilitated compassionate travel requests for death or critical illness. For her role in helping to keep these lifelines open and safely, she received the Bronze Public Administration Medal.
Ordinary Singaporeans also chipped in and played an important role during the pandemic, and this includes ensuring the welfare of Singaporeans stuck in Wuhan, which was once the epicenter of COVID-19. Here's Tan Tze Hui on what compelled them to answer the call of duty.
It was February 2020, the start of the pandemic. Hundreds of Singaporeans were stuck in Wuhan and eager to come home. One air steward, along with 13 other crew members from local low-cost airline Scoot, volunteered to take one of only 2 flights out to retrieve them, despite the risk of exposure.
Part of me is having this call of duty that I wanted to do something good also. So that's where I decided to volunteer myself to operate this Wuhan to Singapore flight.
For them, it was worth having to don full PPE gear and dealing with a 5-hour delay due to the high volume of passengers trying to leave.
Most of them came on board after takeoff. They fell asleep. But definitely for crew, we have a sense of relief because we made it out of Wuhan. And the most important thing is when we landed back in Singapore, I clearly remember that most of them clapped because they had finally reached home.
That selfless act on the rescue flight earned Mr. Pung the Medal of Valor. It's among more than 9,000 national awards recognizing individuals for their outstanding contribution to the COVID-19 fight. From acts of courage to going the extra mile, one former cabin crew and his team helped to connect positive cases to community care facilities and hospitals. He won the Public Service Medal for his dedication in working with the government.
And I'm definitely very thankful for the opportunity to be given to help with the whole COVID-19 situation. It wasn't easy, but I think I'm so glad that we are moving to another stage and we are moving forward.
Mr. Darshan now manages TikTok content for social media company Asgag.
Hi guys, welcome to another vlog. So today
and he looks back on the lessons learned.
And another thing that I really learned was always to be detailed and to always be very administrative. So I think that that's something that I also bring in here because I think in the media industry that's something that you have to always be, is to be detailed.
And for helping with mask and sanitizer distributions, this team from Sport Singapore received the President's Certificate of Commendation. Team Neela is made up of 5,000 volunteers who also helped to keep the nation active during the circuit breaker.
We got our volunteers to log into the Zoom session and we started engaging them, updating them on news and the recent development in terms of the COVID and how we see the future of Singapore. So it's very much to give them hope and get everyone to stay united.
3 years of the pandemic have come and gone, but these acts of valor and service will not be forgotten in the many years to come. And it's something these recipients will look back on fondly despite the difficult moments.